The Jubilee government and the leaders are here have their 4-point agenda. Wamalize hiyo kwanza. Hapana ambia sisi vile mtafanya 2022. Sasa hivi fanyeni sasa malize kwanza. Sisi wako pamoja, wako pair. Wako pair. Wewe umekuwa na bibi, umezaa mtoto, unaona mtoto amekuwa ni kichaa. Sasa wewe unasema hiyo si mtoto yangu. BBI, sema kwa Kenya moja. BBI. 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 Mheshimiwa William Samoei Ruto, ongea na Wakenya.
Raila Odinga's speech at the launch of the BBI at Bomas a few days ago brought out some very key and critical points that Kenyans need to carefully consider as we approach the BBI discussion and indeed the referendum. Listening to his speech, it is easy to comfortably predict that historians will view this great Kenyan as the real father of constitution making in the country called Kenya. You know, there are some things you cannot see when you're drowning in partisan politics and the emotions that go with it. But the advantage of history is that they're able to view events without the great obstacle and hindrance of emotions of politics of the day. He started his speech by summarizing the long, difficult journey of constitution making in Kenya. From the early efforts in 2005 to the chaos of 2007 that led to the Kofi Annan negotiated peace and the Agenda 4 that made a real pathway to the 2010 Constitution. You know, without emotion, one should be able to see very clearly the difference between a man called Raila Odinga and a man called William Samoei Ruto. The difference is that one man, Raila Odinga, is looking to the future and the future of our great country called Kenya. The other man, Ruto, is all about our politics right now and in the immediate future. And is all about hurtling forward, without stopping to fix or to even think of the very serious problems of the past. I guess Ruto's reasoning is that those serious problems of the past will fix themselves, as we improve on the quality of our leaders. In my view, that is a very risky approach. But it seems many Kenyans don't mind it. They don't see any problem with it. Anyway, Raila echoed sentiments by others at this BBI launch that the 2010 Constitution was in fact a ceasefire constitution. And therefore what that means is that it must continue to be a work in progress. And for a person who thinks they understand Kenyan history quite well, like myself, I have to agree with him very strongly. Raila also reminded us the reason and the circumstances which led to the BBI in the first place. And that is, of course, the tensions, chaos, loss of innocent lives. That was the 2017 presidential elections. And this is a very appropriate time to take on the question head on, that many Kenyans have. How does the BBI ensure that we'll be rid of those tensions in the future, in future presidential elections? Now, the BBI proposes the reintroduction of the office of the official opposition leader. And of course, an opposition leader has to have a shadow cabinet. It also proposes the introduction of a prime minister's post and 2 deputies appointed by the president. That expands the current executive, from the 2 we have at the moment, to 5 Kenyans. That is the president and his deputy, and then the prime minister and 2 deputies. Now that means in 2017, if all these proposals were in the constitution and NASA had won those general elections, which many believe they won, we would have ended up with a government of Raila Odinga as president, Deputy President Kalonzo Musyoka, Prime Minister Musalia Mudavadi, Deputy Prime Ministers Moses Wetangula and Isaac Ruto. That, of course, does not represent every tribe in Kenya, but it's very inclusive. And bear in mind that for a presidential candidate to win the presidency in future, they would have to have a setup not very different from what NASA had in 2017. And even looking at a situation where Jubilee would have hypothetically been operating under the same rules proposed in the BBI, we would have had Uhuru as the president, Ruto as his deputy, and then the 3 other individuals, the prime minister and his deputies, would have had to come from other communities. And politically, that would have changed everything. In my view, the Jubilee government would have performed much better than it has. Despite the fact that the president appoints the prime minister and his deputies, it is still easy to see how this kind of setup removes the winner takes it all. It is the presidency or nothing kind of attitude that we have in Kenya at the moment. Politicians or people in political positions see many things that ordinary Kenyans cannot immediately see. And remember, these politicians are the same individuals who incite Kenyans into tensions after elections. And the vast majority of them, as well as other constitutional experts, see an expansion of the executive as being effective in helping us deal with these tensions during and after general elections in Kenya, and especially presidential elections. There will obviously be less incentive to cause tensions and to incite people when politicians know that they have many options, that they have an expanded executive of 5. If you can't be president, you could be deputy, or you could be prime minister, or you could be deputy prime minister. And even if you lose the election, you will end up as leader of the opposition, with your own motorcade, with your own security provided by the government, and with your own office and staff, etc., etc. And let us not lose sight of the fact that to date, since independence, the Grand Coalition government is still the government that has been most effective, is the government that has achieved the most by far to date. And of course it had a president, a vice president, a prime minister, and 2 deputies. The truth is, it worked very well. And remember, this government came into being after the 2007 clashes over the elections. And so we have solid evidence of such a setup, in fact healing a very terrible situation of very high tensions and even fighting in the country. And so there's no denying that it has worked in the past in Kenya. Now, Raila Odinga finished his speech with a parable that left everybody laughing, because everybody had understood completely what he was talking about.
wako pamoja, wako pair, si wako pair. Wewe umekuwa na bibi, mmezaa mtoto, unaona mtoto amekuwa ni kichaa. Sasa wewe unasema hiyo si mtoto yangu.
He gave the example of parents who have a child and the child is very naughty. And what happens is that one of the parents disowns that child, says, no, that's not my child. This was, of course, a barb directed at Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. He is part and parcel of the current Jubilee government. Indeed, he played a major role in setting it up. And therefore, right now, it is impossible for him to distance himself from the Jubilee mess. He can't. He was part of the process. He was part and parcel of the process. So how is it now that he's criticizing the very same setup he was involved in setting up? And not only that, he's telling us he can do better in 2022. In other words, using Raila's analogy, you had a child with another man, and you say that child is not yours. Now, what makes you think that if you have a child with a different man, that child will not have the deficiencies, the problems the previous child had? In fact, most probably, they will, according to science and common sense. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.